You're locked into the Liberty Flames podcast, powered by Rogers Heating and Cooling, servicing Greater Lynchburg's HVAC and electrical needs. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com.
The Liberty Flames mobile app is a must-have for game days. When you download the app, your access to Flames Nation is in the palm of your hand. Listen to our live Liberty Flames Sports Network audio broadcast. Click the Media tab, and under Audio, find the live broadcast in progress. Football, basketball, baseball, coaches shows, all right here. Purchase and manage tickets to the next Flames home game. Click the Tickets tab. Select Purchase Tickets. Then you have the ability to buy seats to the next game. Download those tickets directly to your device and scan them at the gate. Or select Manage Tickets to download your previously purchased tickets or parking pass. Transfer or sell your tickets easily through the Manage Tickets button. Download the Liberty Flames mobile app today from your App Store or Google Play.
Welcome to the NAZSCAR podcast with Nick Pierce. Don't worry, there's no lap, traffic, or caution flags here. Paul Nazigan and Tim Scarborough are here to bring you the latest on Liberty Flames basketball and mid-major hoops. Now, let's get to it. Here's Nick, Naz, and Scar.
A Feast Week edition of NAZSCAR. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm Nick Pierce. Paul Nazigan, Tim Scarborough alongside here as always. It's time to talk Flames basketball. And a lot to get to here. 3 games this week for Liberty down in Kissimmee, Florida. Started off great, did not finish the way that the Flames envisioned, going 1-2 down at the Terry's Chocolate ESPN Events Invitational. We'll break it all down for you here, the good, the bad, everything in between here on NAZSCAR. It's part of the Liberty Flames podcast family, presented by Rogers Heating and Cooling. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com. Fellas, good to see you again on this Thanksgiving Eve as we tape this show. Trust you're all doing well. You're set up where you're going to be for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, no travel for me this year. Before the pandemic, I was never home for Thanksgiving. I was always doing games, but now I'm home. The 4 of us, my 2 kids, my wife, we're going to have a nice, quiet Thanksgiving, watching a lot of football and eating a lot of food.
Yeah, same here, kind of low key, just family and no travel. But that makes it that much nicer.
And same here. We are hunkered down in Lynchburg. Got some family in town here for the week. Brother-in-law, his family will throw down at the table on Thursday, and then get to the weekend and probably same thing. A lot of football, a lot of basketball, a lot of tournaments on. We were watching a little bit of the Battle of Atlantis earlier, a little bit of Maui. Yeah,
it's Feast Week. It's Feast Week as well. Yeah, no doubt. It goes without saying. It should go without saying. We'll be watching a lot of college basketball too.
Yeah, before we get into the Flames, you think it's down a little bit this year? Feast Week. I saw something about that the other day that like some folks are kind of disappointed in the matchups now.
Now, you know what? There's a lot of elitism going on with college basketball. If it's not the name brand on the shirt, Kansas, Michigan, Duke, then they don't want to watch it. But they're missing a lot of great basketball. And we saw that down in Florida. I mean, Liberty is a great team to watch. They're fun to watch. I mean, the announcers calling those games couldn't be more ecstatic. They were like, this is real college basketball. And it wasn't just there. We're watching FAU where they're playing this week. Some of these other mid-majors watching. There's a lot of good basketball. It doesn't have to be that name brand. But the way betting is going on now and the way the NCAA is presented, a lot of casual fans are falling off of college basketball. They might follow 1 or 2 teams, or they follow who they have money on, and then everybody watches the NCAA tournament. The NCAA tournament has never been bigger, and this time of year has never been smaller. It's just kind of the way the game's going.
Yeah, and I was flipping around, but you know what? I don't watch the big games. You know what? I don't need to see. No, I went and found the mid majors. Of course, to watch the Liberty games but yeah, finding the mid major tournaments and those guys are playing. I love seeing that stuff. I'll see Arizona enough later on. So now this week there was some good basketball, and Liberty was certainly in part of that.
Yeah, you pick a night pretty much, right? I mean, you're going to have the Power Fours on all through January, February, even into December as well. So it was cool to see. That was the other part of this, is the Flames were on national television every day. ESPNU, ESPN, I think 2, one of the days, or what it was. But
Yeah.
Got a lot to talk about here, though. 3 games. Like I said, this thing got off to a good start for the Flames
Yeah,
on
let's
Monday.
let's break it down like a Terry's chocolate orange. You see those commercials
Yeah, we saw
where
that a
they break
lot.
the chocolate orange apart. All right, sorry, Nick. Go ahead, man.
No, no, that's a great analogy. I saw a whole lot of Terry's chocolate. I hope Coach McKay got his gift bag. He was talking about that going in. He really was hoping that the coaches got Terry's chocolate gift bags.
That's right. That's right.
We'll have to find out about that. Flames won on Monday 79-73 over Vermont. Lost on Tuesday 72-69 to a pretty good Towson team. And then a very physical, deep Bradley team beat Liberty on Wednesday 74-64. That's the most recent outcome, but we'll start in the beginning. We'll go chronological here. 79-73 over Vermont. We saw the Flames build a double-digit lead, kind of run out early in that game. Then we saw the Catamounts get back into it, cut it to 6. I think Colin Porter hits a 3 with just under 5 minutes to go to put the Flames back up 9. Liberty kind of takes control at that point, doesn't really relinquish things. And scoring-wise, you had 4 guys in double figures. Brett Decker Jr. leading the way with 23 points. He led the Flames, I think, in every game. No, check that. It was Matheny in the second game, but Decker led the Flames in 2 out of the 3 games this week. 14 apiece for Zach Cleveland and Caden Matheny. 10 points for Colin Porter in that game as well. Colin's actually been playing hurt here the last couple of weeks. We'll get to that in a minute. But what did you guys make of that Vermont game on Monday?
Well, kind of what I expected style-wise. We talked about it last week on the podcast here, and I sort of said you're going to see a team a lot like ourselves that plays a nice open style, a lot of movement, a lot of good ball movement and cutting and passing, and very well coached. And so, I think that just kind of led to a really nice, clean game. We were hitting our shots and looked really good. And, just every time that they tried to make a run, and they had some guys, man, the TJs were hitting shots from long range, and the big kid yelled it. I mean, so like they really tried to mount a comeback, and I was really proud of our guys. We really staved it off and answered every time that the Catamounts tried to make a run.
Yeah, I would say, you're absolutely right in terms of the way they play, and the players that they have were very reminiscent of a good Liberty team. And Vermont, I believe they're picked first. No, they're picked first in the American East.
Yeah.
Towson is picked first in the CAA.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're playing against, and Bradley was picked third in the Missouri Valley, which to me might be the best of all those leagues, including conference USA. But so it played out like we kind of thought it would. A smooth game, not a lot of turnovers from either team. Vermont had 11, Liberty had 8. Both teams shot the ball well. TJ Hurley, TJ Long, double figures, very difficult to stop, timely shots and all those things. But Liberty, never sensed that Liberty was not going to win that game. They were in control the whole time. And then down the stretch, they made a couple of plays to win the game. And we're all feeling good about Liberty basketball. And we still do. But, there was a reality check the next couple of nights down in Florida. And, there's some things that Liberty will have to work on, and we'll get to that later. But all in all, it was a really good first game down there. I thought Liberty had a chance to win it when you saw, the Temple bracket with UC San Diego and Bradley. But, honestly, that bracket was tough. UC San Diego, to me, might be the best mid-major in the country after what they did this weekend, winning that whole thing and winning it handily, beating everybody that they played decidedly. But yeah, it was a lot of talent this weekend, and this week, I should say. And that Vermont game was really fun to watch in terms of aesthetics.
Yeah, just to take that thought real quick, Nick. Like you opened it up, Nick, with a good point. Maybe we should have hit this before we kind of got into the games, but like that's a really good tournament we were in. And I know we're looking at it on the backside now, right? And you come out 1-2, but like you said, that's why they put it on TV because there were good games. But you going into that thing, you look down that roster of everyone that was in it, even the people in our little side of the bracket, and Scar, like you said, where these teams are picked preseason, like we all knew we were going to expect some really good basketball, but some tough basketball. So, and I know we don't like to predict and things like that, but in my head, you're kind of like, I hope we can come out of this 2-1. It didn't go our way, but you saw quality teams, and like kind of we all were texting each other like that looked like some really good Conference USA. That's what's going to take to kind of win the thing. You saw a little glimpse of that from this week.
Well, and the starters on Monday played 30 plus minutes, all five of them. And it was the first time Liberty had played a game in a week. So everyone was fresh. Xander Carter got 14 minutes. He was the only other guy in double figures as far as minutes go, played a total of 9 players, but it was primarily those 6. Porter, Matheny, Decker, Harper, and Cleveland that played the majority of that game on Monday. No one thinks anything of it. Well, fast forward to Tuesday, 24 hours later, and you've got your starters in 30-plus minute mode again. Flames come up short this time to Towson, 72-69. Liberty actually built an 8-point lead, led pretty much throughout the first half, led 37-36 at halftime. Towson hit a last-second long-range 3 right before the buzzer to get to half. Maybe carried a little momentum into the second half, although...
it did. It did.
Yeah. Again, Flames were up by 8 with 14 and a half minutes to go in that game before Towson made its run, a 7-0 run for Towson at one point. And the Flames had a long scoring drought, maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, I think, there in that second half that kind of bit them. And again, the starters, 34 minutes, 35 minutes, 33 minutes, 39 minutes for Zach Cleveland in that game. You still have 4 of those guys in double figures, but Coach McKay even said after the game, it kind of caught up to him a little bit.
Yeah, the word load management is not in the Liberty vocabulary right now. 3 days in a row, and normally, those back-to-backs are tough because you don't do that very often in college basketball. But to go back to back to back and have those guys playing 30-plus minutes, I know they're young. Well, most of them, but Caden Matheny is me and Naz's age, but the rest of those guys are young, and they can recover. So I get that part of it, but I think, and this is just an observation from me about Richie, is he believes in those 5 dudes.
Yeah,
and that's just the reality of it. The second game, Xander Carter, Xander Yates, Smith, and Jones were the only guys that come off the bench, and none of them played double-digit minutes. He went with those starters most of the game, and that game was in the balance down the stretch. You think about that last-second shot at halftime, Liberty loses that game by 3, 72-69. So, you take that away, you might have even a different outcome. But all in all, it was no need to panic. But you felt like, wow, that might have been one. That would have been a really good quality win, and it would have been their second CAA conference victory. But unfortunately, Liberty couldn't hang on, and they couldn't do anything with Tejada. I mean, he had 20 points, and Tyler Tejada is the type of guy that you see in Conference USA, a 6'7", 6'8" guy that can step outside, can back you in, can score in the paint. He was just a really high-level player. They paid him a lot of money to stay at Towson because they haven't been to the NCAA tournament in decades. So, they believe this is their year, and it just might be.
And Naz, it was the first time, too, that we've seen the Flames struggle really to shoot this year. I mean, we saw it in spurts, and some of those non-1 games didn't really matter there. Flames were 7 for 30 from 3 in this game, and I'm wondering if maybe that was a correlation with some of those legs maybe wearing out towards the end. I don't know. What did you see?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I do think that late in the game it kind of wore on them, and here's why. Philosophically, it was night and day going from Vermont to Towson. And again, we said it a week ago here that they play a little Big East style. They're right there up on the East Coast, and it's like they want to play physical and bang you and make you and grind you down. And so you think about the Vermont game, there was a lot of freedom, a lot of cutting, a lot of moving. And Towson did, admittedly, they did a really good job of getting out to shooters. And then when guys tried to cut, man, you saw they put a body on them, and cutting, backdoor cuts and things like were not as readily available. They beat us up a little bit, and that's their style. They just play really physical. So you play a game like that where your second day playing a lot of minutes, Scar, like you guys outlined, and then you're playing minutes where you're just getting kind of leaned on and forearmed and just being really physical. It takes it out of you. And then late game when you need a shot, it does affect your legs a little bit. So I think all that to say, I think their style was something to adjust to. And then I think it kind of caught up with us, like you said, Nick, by late game after the second day of all that going into it. I think we just couldn't get those one or two buckets that we needed.
Yeah, quality of shot. That's what I was thinking. The three-pointers that we saw in Lynchburg, we weren't seeing those three-pointers versus Townsend. Every shot was contested. Decker took 7 or 8 threes, and every one of them, he had a guy flying at him. And a few of them were late in the shot clock where he had the desperation throw it up. But when he got shots that were in the flow, there were still tougher shots than they looked like in the games prior to that.
And that tells you something about the style of defense that Townsend was playing, too. The fact that Decker's having to throw it up late in the shot clock. Liberty was struggling maybe to get some of those looks, to your point, that they were used to getting. So that said, Decker had a three towards the end of the game to try to tie it. Shot was blocked right before the buzzer down in the corner. Wasn't a great look, but it was the one that they had, and he had to take it. Flames came up short by 3. First loss of the year on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, 24 hours later, and again, we look at the starters, we look at the minutes, 32 minutes for Colin Porter, 36 for Caden Matheny, Decker Jr. with 35, J.J. Harper only 26, Zach Cleveland 35 minutes. We did see Xander Carter get 18 minutes off the bench. Josh Smith, his minutes increased to double digits for the first time, so I think we saw Coach McKay try to expand that bench a little bit more on Wednesday in a 74-64 loss to Bradley. But, guys, that was a game that was the exact opposite of the previous 2 days. We saw Bradley jump all over Liberty pretty much from the jump. They built that. The Braves built that lead up to 21 with 3.5 minutes to go in the first half before the Flames were able to go on a 12-0 run in the second half, cut it down to as little as 5 or 6 in the second half. A heck of a try by Liberty. But Bradley ends up holding on to win it 74-64. So whoever wants to start, initial thoughts on that one. A little bit of a different style of game for the Flames, Naz.
Yeah, and Nick, you led right into it. Like, I think Coach was really trying to start today's game off with, or Wednesday's game off with some bench guys, but Bradley just jumped all over us. And so it's like you couldn't really go too long with, like, you had to, again, go back with the guys that the starters, the guys that you trust. You just had to stay with them because, man, Bradley was just hot right from the start and built that lead, as well as, we saw sort of the battle of styles. Liberty likes to, play a little small. You got Cleveland going at the 5, and then you have Bradley with, just a couple, 2, 3 bigs that they were running in out of there. And it's like, the games that we saw in Lynchburg, the opponents had to play our style because the shots were falling and we had to lead. But you see what happens on the other end. Bradley had to lead, and so they could kind of dictate who was in the game and how they were going to play, and we were kind of playing catch-up.
Excellent point, man. And you think about the runs that Liberty's not used to having those droughts. Like the flow of Liberty's offense, they were coming into this week, they're averaging over 90 points a game.
Yeah.
And it was because they were getting a lot of possessions and they were shooting a ridiculous clip. As a team, they're shooting over 50% from 3. You knew that wasn't going to continue. And, they would rescind back to the mean. But give Bradley a lot of credit because they were getting high quality shots and Liberty was not. Liberty had to work for everything. At one point, it was 41-20 in the first half. Bradley's biggest lead, 21 points. And you're thinking, wow, this Bradley team who came in 3-4. So it's like, we knew they were good, but, they had been losing. So we weren't sure how they would come out. And they were just more focused than Liberty. There was way more flow offensively to their game. And you think about the 2 games Liberty has lost so far, Naz, both teams have shot over 50%. That's something that you rarely have seen over the entire span of Liberty basketball under the Coach McKay era. Liberty has been traditionally one of the top 10 to 15 defensive teams in the country with that pack line defense, that Virginia style of play. It's tough to get 50 points or 60 points. You get there, you might win, but it's hard to get there. Today, Wednesday and Tuesday, the scoring was a lot easier to me than it has been in past years.
Yeah, Scar, great point. And here's what's funny. Like usually games in November, early season, the offense looks disjointed and your defense seems solid because, but it's different. It's a different day. So with now the guys coming back, Liberty's offense has really looked great from day one. But it's the defense that is taking a little bit longer to get in. And we know that is an issue because of all the new guys and all the movement in college basketball. Like when coach had guys for 2, 3, 4 years, it's like, man, you learn that style of play, you learn that defense, and now you have less time, and new guys are added to the mix every year, guys that you need to play right away. So I think the defense is taking a little longer. But you know what? That's what everybody's going through around. Everybody's got things that they got to work on, and you come out of these games, and again, there's been a lot of minutes, a lot of victories, and a lot of minutes where Liberty's looked really great. But there's always things to work on, and they got to clean up some things on the defensive end, and I know we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I just thought Bradley just played a really hard game, and I mean, you got to credit Liberty. Scar, you mentioned they're up 21. Liberty makes a really nice run, and again, there's another experience that you need as a team. They made a really nice run to cut it to 10.
Yeah, right before the halves. Smith gets that dunk at half, right before the half. Great lob by Colin Porter.
And they come out, and Decker hits a three right out of the locker room. And all afternoon, Liberty really fought, and they were clawing and scrapping. And again, a good teams don't let you get back into the game. And so credit Liberty for not giving up, for fighting and scrapping. But, Bradley just, held us at bay and showed what they're made of.
Yeah, and the anatomy of most comebacks, whether it's football, basketball, is the team that's coming back shuts the water off of the team that's leading, right? You think about, I hate to bring this up, but the Eagles game versus Dallas the other day. Eagles scored 21 points, didn't score another point. If they scored just a little bit, they stave off that comeback. But when you shut the team's water off and you don't allow them to score, that's how you come back. Liberty could never get stops when they needed them. I mean, Richardson was able to get to the rim. Birch was terrific, 21 points, 8 of 10 shooting. He was getting layups in transition. And those two guards who are a little bit bigger and stronger, both of them look like football players, to tell the truth.
I know. Speak about Eagles game, man.
Yeah, right. They were difficult to handle for our smaller, diminutive guards. And I think that's why Xander Carter played more, because he's a more physical, stronger player in the backcourt to negate some of that. But yeah, in the end, Bradley just wouldn't allow Liberty to come back. They just kept scoring.
I just think they just got in too deep of a hole. I mean, 51% for Bradley in the first half. They scored 43 points. You look at the second half, Liberty holds Bradley to 37.5% and 31 points. I mean, it's a 31-31 game in the second half. They lose by 10. Your point's taken, though. I mean, you needed a couple more stops to make that thing a little more interesting, but you dig that deep of a hole, it's going to be awful hard to come back. I don't care who you're playing against. So the Flames come up short 74-64 in that one. And also mentioned earlier, Colin Porter, a little gimpy in this game. He's been playing through some hamstring soreness. Zach Cleveland rolled his foot at one point in the game, throws some tape on there, goes right back into the game. The guys are tough. And Naz, to your point, talking about the defense, Liberty trying to adjust, and everyone's like, well, what are you talking about? They got Porter and Matheny and Cleveland and these guys back, and they all know how to play defense. Those guys do, yes. Brett Decker Jr. didn't play a whole lot last year. J.J. Harper is new for as great as he is. He's new to the system. And you wonder why Coach McKay's staying with a lot of these guys this early in the season. It's because those guys probably haven't quite still got acclimated to that defense yet and how they need to be able to play it. Now, it's kind of a two-edged sword because you're only going to get acclimated if you go out there when the bullets are flying and you get into actual games and you get some reps. But you have to be judicious how you go about it, and I think that's what Coach McKay is trying to do right now. The good news is, not to look too far ahead here, you got Coppin State coming up, you got Midway coming up, you got some opponents like that at home. Hopefully you can start to stretch that out and start to see some more results there. Kind of moving along here as we've kind of hit on all three games now. We've talked about the minutes, we've talked about the depth, and yeah, it's ironic, Tim. We were talking about this last week. You brought up the point there's probably 12, 13, 14 guys Liberty could play right now, but we've seen that now in a condensed stretch against like-minded or like abilitied opponents, and maybe that's not quite the case just yet. But I want to ask you guys, what is Liberty's winning identity? Because you brought up some good points with the defense maybe not quite being what it has been over the last year or a couple years. With this team relying on the three-point shot, that's nothing new, but some different faces in there on the floor. Now, Brett Decker Jr. is leading this team. He's leading the league in scoring at 19.6 a game. Is that sustainable? What is Liberty's winning identity at this point, this juncture?
I don't think that defensive prowess is in the DNA of the group that they have this year. Every group is different, even when you have some of the same players, different years, different team. And basketball is very much like that. Sometimes it's game to game. Excuse me. But to me, I don't think this team is going to be that shut down team. I think they play a free flow offensively, and they give up some things at that other end because they are more focused on offense than prior Liberty teams. Having said that, I think this team is going to shoot over 50% as a team on the year. They're shooting 54 right now, 42 from downtown. They were shooting over 50 from downtown. I think 40 to 42 is probably where they'll stay throughout the course of the year. And if you can maintain those numbers, we won't talk about the free throws because we thought that was going to come back to bite them last year, and they really never did it? Because they won Conference USA despite that. And then in the NCAA tournament, they lost, but it wasn't about free throws. It was about Oregon was just simply better than Liberty. So it really never came up. So let's hope it never comes up again this year, too. So you throw that outside. But if you can maintain the efficiency from the field and from downtown, you don't need to hold people to 50 points if you're scoring 80s plus a game. And I think that is the DNA of this particular group. They're going to be open floor. They're going to play up-tempo more than in past years, and their guards are going to run you through all those picks and screens, and Cleveland's going to be delivering the package at the doorstep for layups and scoring himself, and this team's going to win a lot of games because of that. I still believe that.
Yeah, Scar, that's all good stuff, and you're right on. I would just only add a couple things that I think they need to kind of, continue to work on and add if you want to be a championship team. They've got to make sure rebounding remains a priority. That they're a little undersized, and you saw Towson. They like to crash the glass. Bradley had big guys, so it's like it's going to be all five. Nobody's leaking out to go for fast breaks. Like it's going to be a team rebounding effort, and they've really got to make that a priority. And then I think hopefully. We saw good glimpses of Josh Smith. I really like what I'm seeing so far, and I'm hoping he's kind of going to get to the point where he can become kind of a post option. And again, Liberty's not going to change the way they play. Scar, you outlined it really well, how it's going to be. But I think every now and then, and you saw it last year with Aquino, like every now and then when the defense gets so focused on the perimeter and knocking down threes, you got to have a guy that you can get a post touch to and him do some damage in there. I believe Josh Smith could be that. And he, so far, I think he's coming along. He's getting his legs under him and things like that. But I think if you can add those two things, clean up the rebounding and make another a little post option to offset some things, then I really think that's the recipe for them to win.
Just to highlight your point there, minus 16 in rebounding on Wednesday, minus 14 in rebounding on Tuesday, minus 7 in rebounding on Monday, and a lot of that came on the offensive glass.
And let's not forget Isaiah Enan is still lurking out there too. Yes. That gives you another big 6'8", 6'9" presence. Josh Smith 6'9". So if you start getting minutes from those two, and Zach Cleveland can slide over to the 4 again. But remember, as we talked about earlier, when they play FAU, who had 4 7-footers, and they couldn't even play those guys because Liberty's small lineup was murdering. They couldn't stay in front of those guards. So again, it's going to be a different thing every night, and that's why you want and need that flexibility. You need those guys to come off the bench. You need to play your bench more, in my opinion. I don't think you can continue to play these guys 35, 36 minutes. And I think they have the players that you can trust. I think Xander Yates can be trusted. Xander Carter, as a freshman, he's played 7 games in, playing 15 minutes a game. And, I think he's shown he's shooting 48% right now. He's not knocking down a three like you want him to yet, but he has a smooth stroke, so he's going to at some point. I think you can get minutes out of more of these guys. And when Enan comes back, I think this whole equation kind of gets shaken up a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Naz.
No, I'll just say, just to wrap up, it's like, they lose a couple and
where's that red panic button, Naz? Where's the red panic?
Exactly. It's like everything's fine. Like, you come out of that game and yes, you're disappointed. The close one with Towson and this one with Bradley was tough, but that's what happens, man. Every game that's played, all these games we're watching, there's some good teams that are losing tight ones. That's how it is. You got to take it. You got to learn from it. You got to dig down, get better. And that's another thing, they have a week and a half before they play again. You mentioned Coppin State on December 6th. So it's like, get healthy. They'll get a lot of reps. They'll get back home and they're working and we've seen this team get better. That's what they do.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, everybody's going through it, right? I mean, you guys talked about that earlier. I mean, there was a game last week, Kentucky got beat. Who were they? Michigan State. They lost by almost 20, I think, to Michigan State. Mark Pope looked distraught after the game. Right. I mean, but look, it's November, I mean, everyone's still figuring this thing out. I jokingly texted you guys after the loss today or on Wednesday and said, well, there goes the at-large bid, Look, I mean, no one's delusional to think that, Liberty was or anyone in Conference USA it's about what you do in league and it's about what you do in those 3 days in March. And everything else is the process of getting to that point so that you can make that run. And look, Coach McKay mentioned it after the game on Wednesday too. The next time we have to play potentially 3 games in 3 days is going to be the Conference USA tournament. That's right. It's a good experience to go through that now.
Great prep. Yep.
And
Great
then,
prep.
You'll see what you are at that point. And listening to you guys talk and listening to Coach even talk after the game, I mean, this is far from a finished product. There is more help on the way.
It's feast week. And so Joe Lunardi has been showing up every day talking about the March Madness bracket already. And for the record, he does have Liberty in there as the winner of Conference USA. He doesn't have them as an at-large. So, as you said, Nick, that's off the table at this point.
I think he had Towson in too, didn't he? As the CAA champion? Yeah. Yep. Wild. That guy has carved out quite a living for himself. Friend of the show as well. We need to get him back on soon.
Yeah. Oh, just say the word. I'll give him a call.
Let's see. Next on the ledger here, you got Coppin State, but not for another little over a week. I mean, you get a little time to heal up here. Liberty Arena, Coppin State coming to town a Saturday afternoon, December 6th. That'll be a 2:00 game. Next big test after that, though, is at NC State in Raleigh. That'll be December 10th on a Wednesday night. You've got Midway coming to Liberty Arena after that on December 16th. Big one at Dayton on December 20th. And that's it for the non-conference. You got 4 non-conference games left before you open Conference USA play on December 28th in Miami against FIU. So chance to get healthy here, guys. And then, like we were talking about earlier, maybe you start to see that bench expand once you get another week here into the recovery for Isaiah Enan. Maybe a little bit of a break for Porter in Cleveland. Maybe you start to see that bench expand against Coppin State.
Yeah, I think so. Getting guys some minutes and again, just to rehash. I mean, what a tough schedule. I mean, look ahead, right? You got Midway coming up, and I think they'll handle Coppin State. But you come out of this tournament and you're like, you still got NC State, which will be an absolute war. and going up to Dayton. I mean, those are just great games. They're great tests. They're going to be tough games, but that's what you want. And, again, that's what makes you better. I like that we got it this week, Cleveland, you mentioned Cleveland's ankle and Porter's hamstring, and just, it'll be good. Get some rest, and get a lot of shots up and just, prep for those, for what's coming up. And again, it's all about getting yourself ready and getting everybody sort of healthy and out there ready for when conference hits.
Well, that will just about wrap it up for our show here this week, the NAZSCAR podcast, part of the Liberty Flames podcast family. And by the way, if you're wondering, NC State 5-1, Dayton 5-1. Neither one of those will be a walk in the park for the Flames. NC State with a good win already over VCU. Dayton actually beat Penn State in an exhibition. They've also got, a win over at Marquette on the road as well. So it's going to be a couple tough opponents coming up for the Flames here in the month of December. It's the Liberty Flames podcast powered by Rogers Heating and Cooling, servicing Greater Lynchburg's HVAC and electrical needs. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com. Hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Go watch the parade, get some turkey, stuffing, whatever. Guys, what's your side dish? We got about a minute left. What's your side dish of choice?
Mac and cheese, 4-cheese macaroni. It's not even close.
Baked or creamy?
Baked. Oh, come on. Baked all day.
Creamy. Dump a whole vat of milk in that thing. Naz, what do you like?
It's got to be a good quality stuffing, with all the onions and celery and just really, really sausage and all that.
In the bird or out of the bird? In the bird.
Out of the bird, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, out of the bird. Out of the bird, for sure.
And Nick, Naz and I are from Philly, so we call it stuffing. What do you call it? Dressing?
I think my mom called it dressing growing up.
Yeah,
I go either way. Stuffing, dressing, whatever.
Yeah, it's stuffing. It's not.
Just give me that congealed. Just give me that congealed cranberry sauce out of the can, and we'll be fine.
That's right.
Gotcha. That's better than fresh cranberry, right?
You're right.
The stuff in the can is really good for some reason.
100%. That's a good note to end on. This has been the NAZSCAR podcast. For Paul Nazigan and Tim Scarborough, I'm Nick Pierce. Thanks for stopping by. We're back with you next week. So long, everybody.